As promised, Chapter 14, Make New Friends. Let's start with the most obvious explanation, Nolan says reasonably. Does your mom have any reason to hurt herself? That's the most obvious explanation? I protest. How about the knife slipped and my mom accidentally cut her hand? Followed almost immediately by yours? Nolan asks incredulously. I finger my bandage. Mom said we didn't need stitches, but we do need to keep our wounds clean and dry for a few days. We're in the library now, cutting Monday's visual arts class. I couldn't stand the idea of having this conversation with Ms. Wilde lurking in the corner of the room, listening. It's my second time ever cutting class, and even though this is an emergency, and the time before was an emergency too, I feel pretty guilty about it. Mentally, I lecture myself not to make a habit of this kind of thing. Nolan looks even more nervous than I am about getting caught, even though it was his idea to go to the library in the first place. You okay? I ask. He nods distractedly. I've never actually cut class before, he confides. He looks mildly embarrassed by his admission, like he thinks he's the only junior at Ridgemont High for whom cutting class isn't old hat. If only he knew. Nolan must have watched the video I recorded on Saturday night a dozen times. He seems more interested in Mom's accident, the part I avoid looking at because, ew, blood, than he is in the mist I caught on camera. She didn't cut my hand, I say now. It was my fault. I tried to grab the knife. Nolan shakes his head. I know you're clumsy, Sunshine, but I really don't think you would grab a blade like that. So you think it's more likely that my own mother stabbed herself and then me? Don't be ridiculous. Sunshine, are you even looking at this? He asks. What are you talking about? He holds my camera out in front of us, zooming in on the lower right-hand corner where my mom is chopping mushrooms. Watch carefully, he instructs. I see my mother slice one mushroom and then another. She's every bit as careful and methodical as I imagine she is when she assists on surgeries at the hospital. I never really equated her cooking with her job before, but it occurs to me that maybe she likes recipes with their clear instructions, their list of measurements and ingredients, because in a strange way they remind her of her work. Nolan hits pause. Pay attention. I am, I insist. I can tell when your mind is wandering. No, you can't, I say, but I'm blushing. And don't close your eyes when there's blood on the screen. I fainted the last time I saw this much blood, I reminded him. Okay, but this is only a recording of blood. There's no actual blood here in the room with you. That doesn't make as much difference as you'd think. Even when I'm just watching a hospital show on TV, I cover my eyes during the bloody scenes. Keep your eyes open, Nolan instructs, pressing play again. I open my eyes wide. On my phone's small screen, I can see that Mom doesn't take her eyes off of the knife. With the same care she took in slicing the mushroom, she lifts the blade and lowers it until it hits her wrists, drawing blood. The surface of her skin is wet, not just with blood, but with water from the mist surrounding her. Her hair is dripping water as though she'd gotten out of the shower. I didn't even notice that at the time, as though whatever moisture there was in the air, it was only touching her, not me. Open your eyes, Sunshine, Nolan reminds me. He hits pause. Right, I say. Sorry. He presses play again, and I watch as she presses harder, drawing more. Even though she must be in pain, she doesn't stop until I hear my own voice shouting. That's when I drop to the camera, so there's nothing more to see after that. Oh my gosh, I exhale, and Nolan nods. What do you think we'd see if you'd been recording when she cut you? I shake my head, slouching in my chair. Once, when we were 6, Ashley accidentally kicked me in the stomach during a game of Twister, and I still remember the way I curled up into a C shape, feeling like I would never catch my breath again. Mom said I just had the wind knocked out of me, and now I feel like someone has done it again, punched me in the gut, leaving me gasping for my next breath. Nolan puts my phone down on the table in front of us and scoots his chair closer to mine. I concentrate on the sound of the chair scraping against the linoleum floor. Maybe it's leaving a mark and we'll get in trouble for damaging school property on top of whatever trouble we're already in for cutting class. Before he can put his arms around me, I sit up, straighten my spine. Gently, he puts his hand on my back, between my shoulder blades. I can feel the heat of his skin through my t-shirt. It's the closest we've ever come to actual skin-to-skin contact. I feel like I might throw up. I take a deep breath and swallow, feeling almost hot. On top of everything else, the touch of a boy I maybe kind of sort of like makes me dry heave. Fantastic! I told you I wasn't good with blood, I say finally, hoping that he'll think that's the reason why I'm practically gagging. No one is actually good with blood, right? Nolan answers, shrugging. He drops his hand and inches his chair back across the floor away from me. The nausea subsides. My mom is, I say, biting my bottom lip. For a split second, I bite harder, wondering whether this is how my mom felt when the knife touched her skin. When I was a little kid, crying from a skinned knee, I asked her why it had to hurt so much. My mom said that the pain was actually a good thing. that it's the body's way of warning us that something is wrong, the body's way of saying stop. I press my fingers into my scalp and the tips disappearing beneath my ever-present frizzball. I shake my head. She's not the kind of person who would hurt herself. I mean, she gets grouchy sometimes when work is super busy or whatever, and I know I can irritate her, but she's happy. And look, I don't mean to sound super cheesy or anything, but I know for a fact that she would never ever hurt me. Not on purpose. Not if she was the one in control. Nolan finishes for me. Suddenly I feel like I'm crying. He must sense it because he changes the subject, or at least moves on to the next possibility. Then we have to consider the less obvious explanation that the ghost made her do it. I swallowed. There's more, I say softly. I mean, something else happened that night. She ate. Just thinking about it makes me sick to my stomach. Later that night, she still cooked dinner, but she didn't cook it. The chicken was practically raw, and she ate it anyway, and she said it was perfect. The word tastes sour in my mouth, but Nolan doesn't look disgusted, just really concerned. I continue. I don't get it. I mean, the little girl always seems so nice. I really thought she just wanted to play with me. Has she just been tricking me into trusting her? It's possible, Nolan considers. Some kinds of spirits are famous for being tricksters. Or maybe she's not alone. What do you mean? You said so yourself. She was begging for her life that night in the bathroom. So, who was she begging? I don't know, I answer hopelessly. I play the video one more time, trying to make out a shape in the mists, looking for someone, standing behind my mother, controlling her movements, as if she were a mere puppet. But the fog behind her is so thick, growing thicker when she hurts herself, that it's impossible to see anything. I'm more confused now than ever. Maybe there are two ghosts in my haunted house. Or one good, one evil? I fold my arms on the table and drop my head down on top of them, my curls tickling my hands. I didn't even bother trying to pull it back into a ponytail today. What's the point? I'm pretty sure an elastic band wouldn't have a fighting chance against all this. I can feel Nolan's hand hovering above me, like maybe he wants to rub my back. My muscles stiffen in anticipation and he moves away. We'll get to the bottom of this, he promises. I look up. Have you had any luck finding an expert who might be able to help us? I ask hopefully. Not exactly, but I've got a lead on one from my grandfather's old files. A professor at the university a couple of towns over. What kind of college has a ghost department? Nolan shrugs. We've got to start somewhere, right? I'm scared. What if I'm not there the next time my mom... You will be there. Look, you said she's working all the time these days, right? I nod. So it shouldn't be that hard to be home when she's home, so she's not alone. And if she hurts herself at work, then... At least she's already in a hospital, I finish for him. He nods and I let out a deep breath. I guess it's lucky that my mom is a nurse. What if she were a teacher or a lawyer or something? Nolan must sense that despite the proximity of medical care, I'm not exactly comforted by the thought of my beloved mother hurting herself at work, so he adds. Anyway, if it's the house that's haunted, and it's the ghost, or ghosts, I interrupt, or ghosts, he agrees, that made her hurt herself, then you don't have to worry about her when she's not at home anyway. I nod just as the bell rings, signaling the end of third period. I push my chair out from under the table, slide my phone in my pants pocket, and pick up my backpack up from the floor. I guess we better get to class. Nolan nods. I have chem lab. English lit, I answer. Our respective classrooms are on opposite ends of the school, so we each set off in separate directions. The farther I get from him, the colder I feel, until goosebumps are popping up on my arms and legs, all the way down to my feet. I stop at my locker and get out my navy blue pea coat and slip it on. I found it at a vintage shop back in Austin. The original buttons have long since disappeared, and the 6 buttons that replaced them are totally mismatched, a rainbow of different colors. How can being close to Nolan feel both so good and so bad? When I'm near him, I'm warm. Is that how Mom felt when she held me for the first time? I shake my head. No, because every time Nolan actually touches me, it feels so wrong that I'm tempted to run as far from him as my not particularly athletic legs will carry me. Okay, so maybe I'm not going to get swept into a life-altering romance like Elizabeth Bennet. It's not like I have time to fall in love anyway. Not with everything else that's going on. What matters is that Nolan's my friend. The first new friend I've made since elementary school. And unlike Ashley, he believes in ghosts and cares about what's going on in my house. He'd watch the video a dozen more times if I asked him to, and I wouldn't be able to get Ashley to watch it once. Nolan doesn't think I'm nuttier than a fruitcake for seeing what I've seen, and because he can see it too, I have proof that I'm not crazy. To get to English class, I have to pass the visual arts room. When I see Miss Wilde hovering in the doorway, I brace myself, expecting to be sent to the principal's office for cutting. But instead, as I walk past, the edges of my art teacher's mouth curl up into a subtle, blink and you'll miss it smile. Just before I drop into a chair in my English classroom, I pick up my phone and send Nolan a text. What if there's a day when I can't be there with my mom when she's at home? I don't even have to wait 30 seconds before he sends his reply. Then I'll be there. End of the chapter. Join me later. Bye, guys.